All right, what is going on, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. Hopefully, everybody's doing all right. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. A little bit of a surprise tonight. Not going to lie, wasn't expecting this type of a game from the Lakers tonight. They're blown out, absolutely blown out in Cleveland. They lose by 30. At one point, they were down 34. Outscored in the second half, 72-44. So this one got ugly, and it got ugly pretty quick. I know at halftime it was just a 2-point game. So Lakers were right in the thick of everything. Everything looked like, honestly, like they were coming out ready to go. Probably another good opportunity to grab another win. You're competing against a team that's not fully healthy. See if you could take advantage of it. Had Bob Schmidt on, who's does a podcast covering the Cavs. We aired that this morning. He was talking about how key Evan Mobley has been to the Cleveland Cavaliers and not having Darius Garland, which they've missed a lot so far this season, or a decent amount of games. So you kind of thought a little bit of momentum on the Lakers side. And in that first half, Lakers came out and kind of early on looked pretty good. They're up 4 at the end of the first quarter. At one point, the Lakers took a 10-point lead in that first half. But once it started going the other way, there was no stopping the Cavaliers from dominating the Lakers. And kind of a couple things that reared its ugly head, something that we've seen from the Lakers in the past over the last couple weeks, maybe we've seen a lot less of. But getting out hustled, getting out rebounded, certainly 16-10, I think were the turnovers. Cavs hitting every shot. Lakers playing no defense, no rotation. So tough loss for the Lakers tonight. And here's the good thing. Whether you lose by 1 or you lose by 30, it counts as one loss. And the Lakers are going to be able to just kind of wipe this one away, move on, and get ready for the Washington Wizards coming up on Friday. And I think Washington finally won a game, but they had lost 9 in a row. So you get back on track against the Washington Wizards while you still put yourself in a position at 4-2 on this road trip with 2 games left to go. They'll obviously have to take care of business against the Wizards when that happens on Friday. I appreciate you guys tuning in here. Thank you for being a part of the post-game show as always. Welcome any comments, welcome any conversation around Lakers, NBA, whatever the case is. So feel free to put it in the comments. Also, just a quick reminder here. I do the show after every post game, after every Lakers game, but also do a show in the morning. So I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Okay, so let's kind of get into some of the details here. And I know there's a couple of storylines that we can hit on. Let me just kind of give my overlining thoughts about the game, and then we'll talk about individual players, and I'll start looking at some of the comments. The world's not going to end. You know, I think there was a point. It was interesting because in the first half, especially early on, I'm like, all right, Cleveland comes out, they're up 7-0. Lakers respond with a 12-0 run. They're up 12-7. And then for almost that entire first half, Lakers looked comfortable. They looked hungry. They looked like the ball was moving. They looked like they were getting guys involved. They looked like they were getting stops. And then towards the end of the second quarter, everything kind of started to change for the Lakers. And you could really say the third quarter in general. They gave up, or I'm sorry, the second quarter and the third quarter. They gave up 33 points in the second quarter, 42 in the third quarter, and then another 30 in the fourth quarter. So really, once Lakers had that 4-point lead at the end of the first quarter. After that, it's all Cleveland. And obviously this matchup wasn't even close. It's a couple of different ways to look at it. I think, yes, there's some individual performances that you're disappointed with. Yes, the Lakers to kind of have been playing some much better basketball, but here you are going up against a team that is playing some good ball, that is above 500, was going to be a much better test for you. And kind of a similar thing happened tonight that we've seen a ton for the Lakers, where they go up against some of these teams that are above 500, and they don't just barely lose. They get blown out. That's kind of the trend for the Lakers. When they go down in flames. I'm gonna look at something here real quick as we're kind of doing this post-game show live. There's something that I want to look at, and I want to just see some of these losses. So they lose this one by 30. Clippers, they only lost by 8. Blazers, they lost by 14. Hornets, they lost by 18. Kings, they lost by 12. Bucks only by 4. Spurs again by 16. When Lakers lose, they just get blown out. And I'm not really sure what to make of that. I'm not really sure. The good news is, like I said, the good news is whether you lose by 1 or you lose by 30, it only counts for 1 in the standings. So, I don't think I'm 100% sure what to make by Lakers when they do lose. They go down in such unbelievable fashion. What does that really say about the Lakers? Does it say that they don't fight when they need to? What does it say about the Lakers when the going gets tough? They're like, we're good. We're going to go ahead and take the rest of the night off. You can go ahead and grab this W. We're going to worry about other things. I don't know if I have an answer to that, but that is obviously a trend that is not the most comfortable trend for the Lakers. Like I mentioned too, I think some teams are just going to get hot, and that seems to happen a lot to the Lakers. I'm going to read you some of the Cleveland Cavaliers shooting percentages. They shot 53% from the field. They hit 17 threes, 17 of 44 from the three-point line. Lakers shot 28% from the three-point line, left some free throws on the table as well, kind of struggled from there, just 12 of 18. So definitely not one of those games for the Lakers. You start looking at some of the individual players, I could tell you this. Luka you can probably make the argument, was the only player that is worth mentioning on the offensive end for the Lakers. So here's what Luka did tonight. 29 points, 30 minutes of play, 12 of 20 from the field, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Still had you a minus 23. He had a minus 23. LeBron was, I guess, when you lose by 30, everybody's going to be in the high minuses, in the plus minus range. Something happened to Luka pretty early on, and I just listened to JJ Redick, and they were talking about, they were having the conversation. I was reading an article a little bit earlier during the game. Luka taking a step back three and kind of keeps going back. And then eventually, I guess in Cleveland, what makes their arena so different, their hardwood, there's a pretty significant drop off once you go a few feet off of the baseline. And Luka, while he's kind of not even backpedaling, he's kind of going towards the side, hurts his ankle basically on the hardwood, because you go from hardwood and there's this just drop of concrete or whatever it is after that, whatever flooring they have underneath that. And JJ basically said that, I'm not sure why, it's set up this way. A lot of people have complained about the floor here. It is definitely a health hazard. There was a player for the Miami Heat that had a pretty significant injury back in 2023, and Joe Varden, who I believe is a part of The Athletic, wrote about it and then asked the question today with JJ Redick. I got no idea why that court is set up that way. No idea at all. And I know there's probably reasons for it. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons for it. But if that thing's a health hazard, nobody in the NBA wants to reach out to the Cavs and say, hey, let's try to make a little bit of an adjustment here. They've had injuries there before. Everyone in the coaching staff, Eric Spoelstra included, back in 2023 when he talked about it, and then JJ Redick tonight's like, this isn't safe for the players, and they don't make any changes for it. I mean, we're talking Luka here. What if Luka goes down with an injury? And he did, and Luka was kind of grimacing the entire game, so there was no point in this game where you didn't see Luka really not feel. Luka didn't look comfortable obviously things went the way they did. But specifically after that fall that he had, went back to the locker room, eventually worked his way back in. He didn't look comfortable. Now, his game was still pretty good. Nobody else delivered for the Lakers, but that's kind of a little bit of a head scratcher there, how you can have something like that. It's not getting addressed. And then, obviously here are the Lakers with their star player that's kind of trying to figure out the rest of the game. That's not why the Lakers lost by 30. I don't want you guys to think that, but I'm just talking about the safety of these players. It'd be nice if they were a little bit more responsible in regards to that. And that's kind of a weird curveball here. One of the worst games I've watched LeBron play in a while. LeBron was really bad tonight. Just 11 points for him, 3 of 10 from the field, 0 of 3 from the three-point line, 6 turnovers for LeBron. So I was I was watching Inside the NBA, obviously now on ESPN. So I was watching a little bit of that before the game started, and they were all giving their predictions on LeBron. And Kenny Smith was like triple-double, and this guy was, 20 plus, or I think Shaq was the one. Maybe Shaq went the lowest with 18 points or something like that, or Barkley went 18 points, something along those lines. That was one of the worst games I've seen LeBron play in a long time. So clearly LeBron didn't have it going tonight. Nobody did for the Lakers. I mean, look how much we were praising Rui these last couple of days, Rui tonight, in 18 minutes of play, 0 of 7 from the field, 0 points and 2 rebounds. Jake LaRavia, 6 points, 0 rebounds. Marcus Smart, 2 points, 3 rebounds. Ayton gave you 10 and 4. And, that's significantly better than a lot of these other players that were on the floor for the Lakers tonight, but nobody had it going. Vando, 2 of 7 from the field. Rui, I mentioned, 0 of 7. And then really whatever contributions you were getting. I want to give Gabe Vincent credit, 11 points in 25 minutes. He went 4 of 6 from the field, but I'd like to see Gabe do that in a meaningful game where the Lakers are in it. They're in the thick of it, and the game is, in question right up to the tip-off or right up to the buzzer, and that certainly wasn't the case for. So tough. Hopefully Gabe Vincent can build some momentum off of it, but tough for me to really give too much credit here on the Gabe Vincent front for having double figures in a game where the Lakers lose by 30. Just an overall kind of odd game. I thought James Worthy said it best. They started their postgame show on Spectrum Sportsnet, and he looked a little perplexed, right? Like he was a little bit thrown off. We've all kind of seen how the Lakers have been playing. We want to give them credit what they've been able to do. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, nobody could get into any rhythm. Lakers couldn't get any stops. Cleveland was doing everything, and Lakers lose this game by 30. So not really, too much there isn't going to be this unbelievable breakdown in tonight's game. I kind of think it is what it was. And just the highs and lows continue for the Lake Show, right? When they look good, they look good. When they look bad, they look bad. And tonight was one of those games for the Lakers. I think we could all kind of sit there and say, all right, this is definitely one of those games where everyone's going to want to forget, and the Lakers will get a chance to move on and try to kind of right some of their wrongs when they take on the Washington Wizards coming up on Friday. Okay, I got a ton of comments here that are waiting for me, so I know I got to get into them. Let's do all that. Let's do it in just a second. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. The website here you could go to if you're looking for an injury attorney and you're in the state of California, you could go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, you could fill out an absolutely free consultation. Whatever position you're in, a serious injury, a wrongful death case, they got proven trial lawyer or proven injury attorneys, trial lawyers that have been doing it and been a part of the business for a long time. And there's a reason why Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm have such a great reputation, why insurance companies don't want to deal with them. They know they're going to fight for their clients and they're going to do everything they can to win. And that's in his DNA, and that's what he does for his practice. Been a partner now here for 2 years on YouTube, or 2 seasons on YouTube, and is somebody that I've known here for a number of years. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. The website's right here, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Anything you need on that front, please reach out to him for a free consultation. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see what some of our people are saying here. Bronny was the Lakers MVP of the game. You might be right on that one. What'd Bronny end up with? Bronny just came in firing. What'd he end up with? 8 points in 8 minutes. Hit a couple of threes. Got a dunk. Got a couple of rebounds. Maybe that was the highlight. The highlight tonight was Bronny. Say something nice about Bronny. I just gave it to you. Best player on the floor tonight. Rui doesn't deserve all the hyping up unless he's giving you consistent production night in and night out. He is not. Let's be real, my guy. Yeah, I mean, listen, if I tell you, let's look at Ayton's stats, and this will kind of tell you his stats, I think, exactly match what he is on a night in, night out basis. And I want to give you his exact stats here, and I think you'll agree with me. Or I've typed in Ayton. I'm going to type in Rui's stats. I just want to make sure I got them exactly. I don't think anything crazy is coming from Rui. I think the most interesting thing these last couple of days is that he came off the bench and he was awesome off the bench. So I think that part was different. But Rui averages 12.5 points a game, 3.6 rebounds. It's about right. That's about right. I mean, that's kind of your typical role player in the NBA. Shoots 51% from the field. It's a great percentage. Shoots 44% from three. That's a great percentage. So I don't think we're over hyping Rui Hachimura. I think Rui's an important role player. And yes, there's going to be some nights he's there and other times he's not. That's role players. That's why they're not stars. what made Rui so interesting for a quick second there was Rui started doing something that was very, very interesting because he started coming off the bench and he's talking about how he kind of likes that role. And he had a couple of games where he looked really good off the bench. So tonight he couldn't hit a shot. Neither could really any of the Lakers, and the Cavs couldn't miss a shot. So I don't think it's a matter of overhyping. Really don't think um, it's a matter of overhyping Rui. I think Rui is exactly what he is: 12 and a half points a game, about 4 rebounds a game. The 4 rebounds actually surprises me. The 4 rebounds is a lot higher than I thought. LeBron let the refs and young Cavs get in his head. Yeah, he didn't look too happy with the referees today. And listen, if you're the Cavs, this is kind of what you do. You got high energy. You got a lot of players. I mean, to be honest with you, the Cavs got a lot more young talent than I thought or I expected. I mean, it's the first time we've seen them this year. We'll see them one more time this season. But yeah, that's what you're supposed to do when you play the Lakers. You play hard, you play tough, you move the ball up and down the floor. And if you do that, then you might give yourself a chance to win. And I know the Cavs have been playing better basketball. They're now 9 games over 500, but the Cavs also missing a couple of key pieces. I thought with Evan Mobley out, I thought there was a real chance for the Lakers to win this game. I really did. But that wasn't the case. Let's get another one here. I know this isn't a year when Lakers contend, but how many years trades away are we? Need at least one starting center and 2 3-and-D athletic wings. Why I've said this before, and I'll continue to harp on it because I think I believe it when I say it. I don't think they can fully build around Luka unless LeBron's probably not on this team. The only thing I would say, the only reason why I say probably is, okay, well, if LeBron's on the team and he's taking a lot less money next year, then maybe that's a different story. But certainly you can't do it with $52 million on the books. And I think you can even make the case that LeBron's got to be completely off the team in order to completely build around Luka. So how long will that take? Listen, I think ownership will be aggressive. I think new ownership will find ways to compete. I think they understand how they can really dominate markets, and they got so many advantages being here in Los Angeles. But it's going to have to be, well, what can you do in the front office? What can you do with the scouting? What can you do in areas like that? Because it can't just be individual players that obviously they can't go out there and do what they're doing like they are in baseball. Can't. You got a salary cap in obviously in the NBA, and a very confusing one, if I may say. Thank you very much for the super brother. I appreciate it. Probably got to give them 2 years. Hopefully make some major headway this summer, maybe even some headway this trade deadline to find a person that fits for the next couple of years as well that matches with Luka. So a lot still to uncover in regards to that. All right, let's take a look at some more comments here. Come down a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Man, how are we a team with no athleticism, undersized, no shooting, and no rebounding? Truly a Rob Blanca massacre. Well, they're also still kind of right in the thick of the Western Conference with all that. So I think that part's going to be interesting, right? How they put together the roster they're looking for. At the end of the day, every question that this front office is going to have is going to be really circled around, well, how do you build around Luka? How do you build around Luka? Let me get a couple more in here, and then we'll keep going here. Leave LeBron and Bronny in Cleveland. That might happen next season. Man, 2 years, Luka will be gone. Hopefully not, though. No, I don't think so. I think Luka's going to be in LA for a while. Guys are going to build a team around Luka. And I think they're going to build a really good team, a really competitive team. I'm watching right now in the background. I got ESPN on, and they got the Spurs. They're showing Wemby. They're playing the Rockets. Obviously, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. Don't get me wrong. There's really good competitive teams in the Western Conference. Let's find out what's going to happen to Giannis. And I think the Giannis Antetokounmpo piece, does he end up in a team in the Western? Does he go to the Golden State Warriors? I heard people talking about Golden State today. So the West is always going to be a challenge, and it's going to be up to the Lakers to obviously try to figure out what piece of the steak that they can get as well. All right, let's keep going here. I got some more things I want to get into, and I think there's a little bit of, and I understand this, and I know this comes with the territory, and this is very common with a lot of fan bases. When you win a game, everything's great. When you lose a game, truly, the it's like, and it's how you lose as well. If you lose by 30, the way the Lakers lost tonight, that's obviously a terrible look. So I know there's probably a lot of Laker fans that are frustrated with the loss and saying to themselves, what the hell did I just watch? And I don't blame you. I don't think you're wrong about that by any stretch of the imagination. With that being said, I do think the goal for them before this road trip started, the number that I had was just go 4-4. They're 3-2. They got 3 games left to go. So let's see what they can do. They got 2 very winnable games. One against the Wizards coming up on Friday. One against the Brooklyn Nets coming up on Tuesday. And then that Sunday game is going to be the Lakers and the Knicks. So they got some winnable games here. And the Knicks, that's going to be a tough game. I think the Knicks will play them hard. I'd be, to be honest with you, surprised if they beat the Knicks just based off of how the Lakers have been playing against teams over 500. But if you could just take care of these next, these 2 games against these 2 squads below 500, all right, you come back home. The world's not going to end. You're, 5-3 on this road trip. I think they've set themselves up fine, but some of these performances for the Lakers, I know how easily people can get frustrated because it's how the Lakers lose as well. It's not just losing, but it's how the Lakers lose sometimes as well. Okay, so next game they got coming up is the Wizards. I'll get into more of the comments. We got time here. I'm not in a rush or anything. But the next game they got coming up is against the Wizards, and I'm just going to point out a couple of things. So that game's on Friday. Like I mentioned, the Wizards now are 11-34 on a 1-game winning streak. They beat Portland. Who does Washington have left on that team? If I'm being honest with you, I don't even remember now. That's right. They got no, that's not right. Oh, yeah, that's right. They traded some of these players. I was looking for a second. I'm like, who the hell are all these guys? Um, Here's the reality with Washington. All they care about is getting a draft pick, and they ain't trying to win a game. So take advantage of the matchup that you have in front of you. Are there going to be some players that, sure, you've seen in the league and you can point out and say, okay, oh, yeah, Chris Middleton here, or I don't know, Marvin Bagley, just some different guys that they have on their team. Alex Sarr actually is a decent player for them. The bottom line is Washington might be the worst ran franchise in the entire NBA. So that's what you got coming up on Friday. And then, you'll have a tough game coming up on Sunday when the Lakers play the Knicks. But the next game for the Lakers is coming up on Friday. As far as scores around the NBA and how this loss affects the Lakers, I'm going to take a quick look at the standings. I know there's some games going on right now. So Minnesota is up 13 against Dallas. That game will have some influence here. Houston's up 10 on San Antonio. So that one will definitely have some effect as well. Any other teams play that? No other teams. So, yeah, they'll be in 5th. By the time tonight's all said and done, Lakers will be in 5th. Even if Minnesota wins, I think Lakers still will be slated in that number 5th spot. But at 28-18 and now back to 10 games over 500, 5-5 in their last 10, that's where the Lakers are sitting. All right, let's take a look at some more comments here. Let's see what people are yelling about. I'm sure there's a lot of yelling going on. All right, let's see what we got here. JJ sat all the starters with 6+ minutes when they were down. Yeah, I didn't understand that. If I'm being honest with you, that didn't make any sense to me as well. That didn't make any sense at all. I heard them on the broadcast. They were talking about ESPN's broadcast. I was kind of flipping back between ESPN and Spectrum. And one of the things that they were saying is like, are you sure this isn't the type of day, the type of night where you start sitting all your players, you're in the middle of this road trip, kind of give them a little extra rest. LeBron turned an ankle. Luka looked like he was grimacing the entire time after the court incident that happened over on the sidelines. So, yeah, that one didn't really make too much sense. I don't really know what the strategy would have been there to say, hey, let's keep these guys in longer than we need to. For what? I don't really think there was a reason to. Luka playing with a bunch of bums. Sometimes it looks that way. Other times, I mean, listen, what we all agree that the Lakers, um, we all agree that the Lakers they need more talent. I mean, to truly compete, they need more talent. You got a 41-year-old and a 26-year-old. You got a couple of guys in the backcourt that are focused on offense in Luka and Austin Reeves. The roster is not perfect. You got a DeAndre Ayton player that he might give you 12 and 10. He might give you 6 and 4. So there are a lot of guys on this team that are inconsistent, and that kind of comes with it. That's why there's times we come on this post game show and we're really giving them credit. I would say the game against Chicago, they looked really good, and there's other times where it's a frustrating team to watch. So I think the Lakers have definitely kind of comes with the territory in regards to that. The Lakers coach is a big problem too. Why does he get a pass? Tell me this. I'll ask you guys this question. What is it that JJ Redick, what bothers you about JJ Redick? Where do you think he's getting a free pass? What are the areas that really frustrate you? I'd love to know a little bit more about that. So why don't you guys put that in the comments if somebody agrees with this comment in regards to JJ? Give me a little bit more context on this. Reports saying Austin will return tonight against Cavs. It's all live from the start. He can't play against good teams. Hide his fake stats to get all-star votes. He is a bum. I like your factual information. Just if all of that is what you put into your head, then that's fine. Then all of that is what you could put in your head. All right, let's see some more here. What else we got here? What else we got here from the people? It seems like there is no system. All talk. JJ Redick didn't earn this. That's what bothers us. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I think JJ has done a pretty good job so far as the Lakers coach. I do. I think the roster has been flawed. I thought last year's roster was flawed. They still won 50 games. Obviously got exposed in the playoffs. And I think JJ had something to do with that. I don't think JJ had a good coaching performance in the postseason. So I get some of the hesitation here. He does have them 10 games over 500 right now in the Western Conference. Now, we can look a little bit deeper into that. I think we all understand they're not a true contender. How much is that on JJ, or how much is that of does this roster make sense to be an elite team in the Western Conference? I think he's kind of getting the most he can out of this roster. I mean, I would say if you said, hey, is the problem the roster or JJ, I would lean more towards the roster. I would. The pieces trying to fit, LeBron making 52 at age 41. I think there's other problems that are bigger than JJ. That's my opinion. I mean, if you guys disagree with that, you guys feel free to, obviously put your opinion on there. Need a little bit of a drink, guys. It's getting a little dry over here. Let's see what else we have here. That's right, Sleet. I got to negative 10 games over 500. Is impressed with all the injuries. Yeah, I just don't think, I just wouldn't put it all on JJ. That's all. There's nothing more to it. I think I don't think JJ's perfect, but I think JJ's a pretty good coach in the NBA. I think he's done a decent job with the Lakers. If you told me that is JJ going to go win a championship with the Lakers in the next couple of years, yeah, that's definitely an unknown. Got no idea. Be very, very difficult to do that. But I think how the Lakers are playing, when they play awful, I don't know if that's just because of JJ. And when they win, I don't want to give JJ all the credit either. I think it's just been so far what he's been able to do. It's only his second year ever coaching. But if the argument is, hey, the Lakers need a better, more experienced, more proven head coach, you can make that argument. That's fine. I don't know if they're going to do that now. I think they're going to give JJ at least the remainder of this year, next year as well, before, that ownership makes decisions and says, is this the right player for the future or is it not? So we got a ways to go from that perspective. Let's just put it that way. All right. I'm going to give another shout out here. Another one of our partners. I mentioned to everybody that Harris Resort SoCal is located within 1 to 2 hours of wherever you are in Southern California. They're in the Palomar Mountains, North San Diego, just a really beautiful area. and it's just a beautiful resort. They got over 1,000 luxurious rooms. I'm going to be doing my morning show there from on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I got a nice little setup. They got me in a nice area of the casino resort. It's actually a little restaurant bar area that they have, kind of their more sports bar type of atmosphere. I think the place is called First Down. So I'll be there this upcoming Friday. I'll do my show from there. The biggest thing that I want to get across in this messaging is if you're looking for a staycation, just consider Harris Resort. You could go to that website, harrissocal.com. Go to that website today or go to that website whenever you're planning your next trip or vacation. Consider a staycation. It's a lot more affordable. It makes more sense, a lot less of a headache. And I think Harris Resort's one of the best resorts in all SoCal. harrissocal.com, harrissocal.com. All right. Let's see what else we want to get into. I know I got some more comments here. I'm trying to think here. You know, the Rui thing I will say was that one was a little bit tough to swallow tonight because Rui had been playing so well and it was two straight. Again, you don't need I don't need Rui to have 22 or what do you have 23 and 17 his last two games. He doesn't even have to do that. But you can't go over. Look how many players went over tonight. I mean, you want to talk about just a really, really poor game from the Lakers. Look at this box score. What is this thing? LeBron 11, LaRavia 6, 8 and 10, Marcus Smart 2, Rui 0, Vandal 4. Just the main players. I mean, I should have given Jackson Hayes a little bit more credit. He had 7 and 5. In how many minutes did he play? Played 18 minutes, 8 and played 19 minutes. So that's both your centers. But damn, I mean, nothing from anybody tonight. But that's, you know, again, I'm gonna go back to what I said. When you're on an 8-game road trip, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna find times, you're gonna find days where it just doesn't go your way. And every team in the NBA runs into this. And for the Lakers, it's like, all right, get this shitty loss out of the way and then just move on. It's a 30-point loss. It counts as 1L, and you call it a day. They're showing some highlights here right now of LeBron, his early days with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hey, listen, I was mentioning this. I've mentioned this now a couple of times. I mentioned it this morning as well, that I think it would be pretty cool if LeBron decided, you know, at the end of this year, if the Lakers decide, okay, we're going to be moving on. We are not going to re-sign you. We're going to kind of start this next chapter with Luka and, you know, go ahead, go explore around the league. I think it'd be pretty cool if LeBron finished his career in Cleveland. Lets everybody know before the year starts, all right, year 24, this is my final year in the NBA. I'm going to play with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm going to take as little amount as possible, as little amount of money as possible so that I can compete with the Cavs and try to come out of the Eastern Conference. And to be honest with you, I think he would still have an impact on that team. And they got a ton of young players and you know, give this thing a shot. Whether that happens or it doesn't, LeBron, obviously, every time he comes back to Cleveland, they did a little tribute for him. I'm sure that always means a lot to him when they do that. But, yeah, he wasn't good tonight. But like I said, if this guy's going to eventually look for a farewell tour, why not go back and do it in Cleveland? I think for the Lakers, I just don't know how much you want that if you're a Laker fan. I think for a Laker fan, I think you want to start building for the future and building around Luka, and we'll see what happens after that. Warriors getting Giannis. Yeah, a lot of the there's a lot of chatter I saw today about, oh, yeah, you can go trade him and you're going to give up Jimmy Butler and maybe it's Jonathan Kuminga. And they were talking about draft picks. And then they were going on and it was Kyle Kuzma would go too. I mean, I don't know ultimately what the Golden State Warriors are going to do and what they're trying to do. And I think it's smart for them to try to get Giannis. But if I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers, or I'm sorry, if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, why am I trading for Jimmy Butler? Does somebody want to remind me of that? Why would I be doing that? I mean, that doesn't sound like that makes all that much sense. And if you want the Lakers to get in the mix for Giannis, here's how they're going to do it. Giannis doesn't get traded at the deadline. Giannis gets traded in the summer and basically says, I want to be a Los Angeles Laker. That's probably the only chance that the Lakers have. And in the summer, they'll have 3 first rounders that they can give up as well, plus Austin Reeves and whatever else that you got to make that happen. All right, let's get some more in here. LeBron is on an 8-year staycation in LA. Time up. I think John saw that LeBron had 11 points today and went 3 for 10 from the field. He was very excited about that. He's very excited about that. Let's just say John, not exactly crazy about LeBron. I appreciate the super. Thank you for the super. LeBron's been good for the Lakers. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I know he's not the same LeBron James, but LeBron's been solid, especially these last couple of weeks. He's been solid. Tonight he was really bad. So have nights like that. However LeBron feels about that and why he has this bad of a night, I don't know. I have no idea at all, but it wasn't just LeBron. It felt like the whole vibe of the team was just off. Whole vibe of the team was really, really bad tonight. And again, maybe it has something to do with you're in the middle of your road trip. Maybe it has nothing to do with that. But either way, Cleveland looked fresh and the Lakers looked lost. So, probably the best way I can describe it. Man, I respect LeBron for coming to LA and winning a ring, especially the year Kobe passes. All right, here's another one here. Spurs got more assets. So do the Thunder. So does, Atlanta has a different or has an interesting type. Well, no, I think Atlanta was going for, they were trying to get Anthony Davis. But there's some teams out there that got real assets and young pieces. And if I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, who by the way waited way too long, should have done it in the summer. This whole, we're going to do everything we can and we're going to stretch Dame. Honestly, malpractice from their perspective. They set back that franchise big time. We'll see what eventually happens, what they get for Giannis. Maybe they just get a great package anyways, and it doesn't matter. But they need young pieces and they need draft capital. And then just, start your rebuilding process. You're fine. You're the Bucks. I mean, you won an NBA championship with Giannis. That's a great accomplishment. Turn the page, turn the next chapter, and kind of start building all over again. It happens. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what else we got here. Literally just beating bad teams. Fair play there. That part is very fair. It really, really is. That part, I couldn't agree more. That's a phenomenal point there. That is some of the concern with the Lakers is every time they're beating teams, it's like, they're just teams that are not going to be in the mix, right? They're just not teams that are going to be in the mix. And if I told you so far on this road trip, 2 teams they've played so far are going to be in the mix. The Clippers, potentially, right? They've been playing better basketball. I guess that's a big stretch for me to say they're going to be in the mix. But Cleveland's got a chance to be in the mix just because they're in the Eastern Conference. They lost to both of those teams. So the teams that you beat up on are the teams with injuries or the teams that are below 500, 100%. I don't question that at all. Luka passed his prime already. Luka's 26. You typically get into your prime around 28. And what's happening in today's NBA is a lot of these athletes, their prime actually goes longer. Now, Luka's a different cat. I'm not going to, Luka's not going to be known as this special player because of his athleticism. And he's not LeBron. Let's put it that way. So how long Luka's prime goes, I don't know. But Luka's game is also not around the basket and it's not high flying and it's not, he's not going to have his game can last longer because he's not a player that's high flying and all over the place. He plays slow motion basketball. It really is slow motion basketball. All right. Some people just getting a little too emotional. Can I ask how this is possible? How do people get so emotional about LeBron? How is that possible? How is that possible? Just I always find that amazing how people get that angry about LeBron. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. All right, my people. Let's get one more in here. This team has to get younger and hungrier. I don't disagree with that. The younger piece, obviously, no question about it. And there's some times they show like they got a little bit of hunger. I think these last couple of weeks they did. They showed a little bit of life, but they need it on a more consistent basis. I'm with you on that. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you to all the supers. Thank you to our sponsors as well. Shout out to Harris Resort SoCal. Shout out to Brad Walsh and the Wallace Firm. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll get back talking Lakers, talking NBA. So looking forward to that. But tonight, really, really bad loss. Cavs over the Lakers, 129-99. Complete ass kicking in Cleveland. Thank you for being a part of the show. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night.